kill my ex. Not the best idea. His new girlfriend I still love him though. Rather be in jail. I haven't finished that one yet.
Line shit has moved so far out there compared to where like most human beings are at in the real world. So it's
I didn't even consider your trans beliefs. I don't know. I never heard you talk about it before.
They're pretty out there.
Are they?
Yeah.
Like trans women are women? Is that a
Well, I can say that you can never admit that.
that trans women are women?
Yeah, because
He
if you
does a
did,
woman.
if you admitted that, you would have had to say you gotten beaten up by a girl at your protest. So
No, it was a guy. Well, I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, he
can't
was a
assume gender.
bodybuilder.
Sure, yeah.
But in that environment,
even that joke is
you,
cringe.
You kind of got to get beat up in that environment, right? Like you're gonna look at the bad guy, and just start slugging it out with these people, right?
I was holding my sign, and this woman had gotten in between my arms. It's like, well, this is
She was playing like Ring Around the Rosie, like forced her way under his hands.
this is bad. And then a guy said he's strangling
He's
her.
strangling
and she
that
said he's
woman.
strangling me. He's strangling me. And I'm like, all right,
man.
well,
The
this is
Antifa
gonna go.
News, there was an Antifa news site that reported Dick Masterson was strangling people at the protest.
I believe
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I bet she got in there,
I
and I bet he
wish.
was like, you know what? I'm gonna go
Brought
track
her down.
We got video. He
The question
it's
is,
clean.
as well as I know Dick, could you really handle somebody that fucking annoying? It would be so easy to strangle right in front of you. I don't know if you can handle that.
I
for
think he
more
was
than,
handling it
I don't know if you can handle that
masterfully.
for more than 5 or 10 seconds without squeezing a little bit. You
It's
know?
just a woman screaming, you know.
You've experienced
Bop,
that
bop,
before.
bop. Yeah, I've
Every
experienced
day
that
in your
a
life.
lot.
If you were to like bait somebody into a jiu-jitsu match at a protest, I feel like that could be really viral.
You can't get violent though, because then they win.
But
I
that's the
literally
thing.
can't because I'm made of glass.
But jiu-jitsu
I
is such
lost a fight with
subtle
a bowling
violence, you
ball.
know. Like
Yeah.
if you make a protester tap out, that could be some pretty good content.
You should go. You should get like black, or do they have belts in jujitsu?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, get a black belt jujitsu guy to go troll protesters and jujitsu them.
I want an Aikido master, so they run at him and he just gracefully steps aside and
Oh, yeah?
flips them over. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. As long as
Steven
we're talking
Seagal.
about things that are played out and we're annoyed of hearing people talk about. No offense to present company or anything, but I just really can't handle hearing people talk about dating on podcasts and shit. Like, respect to all of our friends who are making a living doing it, but it's
my
just
water bottle
really
outside.
hard for me to sit through a lot of this shit. I don't know if I'm
The dating talk.
The
yeah,
red
and
pill
like,
shit.
should a guy pay for the tip, or should a guy pay for the bill when you go out to eat, and should a guy hold the door open? It's just
dating
like
etiquette.
Holy fuck, this is so boring.
My
And
fans are like-
everybody loves it.
My fans are fucking revolting. If you go to my subreddit, there was like, no more red pill content. Fuck this shit. We hate it. But it's like, yeah, like Prince Money. There are so many people online. You built like a whole TikTok basically off of it, right? Yeah. And it's like you said. It's like always like, okay, we're all sitting down now. Does body count matter? And it's like, should men pay for everything if women are earning more in college?
Right.
And it's like, oh,
Like,
hold on.
at
let me
some
think about
point-
the last like 785 times. I've answered
At
the
some
same
point,
question,
the
yeah.
body count question, like for how much it has been discussed on podcasts for the past couple of years, at some point a conclusion is going to have to
Yeah,
be
will it?
reached.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
they're
matter.
gonna have to
The
stop
greatest
talking
red
about
pill
it.
philosophers of our time have debated this across 750 million different YouTube channels. Can
It's
you tell
eight.
Yeah,
us?
what progress has been made?
Yeah.
I love how everyone's sample size and the dating advice comes from like a sample size smaller than Dilbert's survey. It's like, oh, okay, this is what you do. And I'm like, you're talking about like 20 girls, 30, like 40. What is this?
Yeah,
And it was all in one
especially-
area.
I love hearing people talk about relationships really authoritatively who are like 21. And I'm just like, wow. Like, you really have no fucking room to comment on any of this until you've really even like 100 sex partners, I'm going to say, or like, you know, multiple like long-term relationships.
Oh yeah, 100. Adam, thanks. True.
I mean,
yeah.
What
maybe
have you
not
learned?
100, but like
was the 100th
90.
one like
90.
Yeah,
total enlightenment?
It
I
was-
remember back when I was
I
a
liked
kid-
watching the clock roll over to 100.
Back when I only fucked 95 girls and I had no idea what was
You had
going
no
on.
idea what
but,
you're
like,
doing.
Yeah, I was just. But at 100,
Lost
yeah.
in the woods. Then you hit 100. And
It
you're
really
like,
started to click for me around 100.
master.
yeah.
I can feel it coming in the emails now. Like I know this, it'll be something about girls. And I'm like, I know this is just a bragging about about how happy he is with his girlfriend, but guys don't know how to express this emotion, so they have to wrap it in like some kind of advice or criticism. So I'm gonna just take this and put this on the fridge and say, good job.
So what, you just
nailed
give
it.
out your email and just give advice to these poor bastards?
Yeah, I try to make it as bad as possible, because nobody wants the just break up with her. Like, this is an abusive
happening,
relationship.
bro?
What are you doing?
That's
They
a good
want-
idea. I could see myself getting a couple extra hours of content out per week, just off
Answering
answering some
emails.
fucking
Advice columnist, yeah.
emails. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a
That would be good.
Yeah, but
classic
even
one.
like the dating advice shit is like 85% of it. Like some guy would be like, I was with my girlfriend yesterday and she made some weird movements in bed and she clenched up and I don't know if she came or not. Can you tell me? And it's like, you fucking ask her, you fucking retard. 95% of questions like, ask your fucking partner. How the fuck are we supposed to divine this information from you? Like, my boyfriend didn't talk to me at all yesterday and I'm not sure what's upsetting him at the moment. Like, can you give me some advice? It was
Yeah,
fucking
no, no,
That's why you have to lie to them,
Yeah.
because it's funny.
Or it'll
you
be
go, no,
like-
he's really pissed
Yeah.
at you, and you should
Yeah.
bake him a cake.
Or
you
it'll
dumb
be-
bitch.
catfish him.
True.
Yeah.
No offense, but I understand what you said. There's a lot of times where people, where like a 22-year-old is speaking, and it's like you're speaking as a 22-year-old, clearly.
Right.
People that have like significant issues, like so we fight all the time, we blah 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 blah, and it's like, okay, well, how long you been dating? It's like, oh, about 4 weeks, and it's like, or have you seen the ones? And I wish these girls posted pictures. That's really mean, but I wish I could see pictures of some of these girls where she'll post like, so I have a problem. My boyfriend comes to sleep and everything is okay, but he has a lot of trouble wiping, and sometimes he leaves shit all over the bed.
Oh. What the fuck?
Why are you still with this guy?
You've seen
What
that?
the
You've seen
fuck?
that multiple times. Someone
Yes.
post that?
On there's subreddits where people ask these relationship
Yeah.
questions, and I'm like,
But I'm always stuck between
Jesus
thinking
Christ.
this
Yeah.
question is so stupid that I cannot waste even a single second thinking about it, or it's a troll, and you're just
Yeah.
saying something.
No, you
and-
gotta treat it
and-
100%
and
serious.
Even if it seems a little subtle in its stupidity, that like, oh, you calibrated that perfectly because you're trying to get me to actually take this serious.
Yeah.
And like when everything falls into either bucket, that's not a good place to be in.
yeah, but if you know enough people though, or if you heard their stories at random, you would assume this person is full of shit. There's no way somebody could be this fucking stupid.
And when I think about it, my early 20s brain was so much more entertained by conversations about, you know, all the nuances of relationships. So I totally understand why that shit hits for that audience. And I've often thought, like, damn, 18-year-old me probably would have been a little too impressed with Andrew Tate. You know?
75 girlfriends, and they're all working for him,
Oh my God!
and they don't even want to keep the money. This guy's got it figured out.
he can buy as many Fortnite skins as he wants.
True.
And
he
the
probably
girls are
probably
paying
gets the
for them.
$100 cards when he goes
Yeah,
to Walmart.
dude. Yeah, dude. He's living the life.
That's why he's so bald. He's seen his hair growing out outside of prison. Like, oh, that's what 75 girlfriends does to you, man. That's not worth it.
Man, but
As a young person, yeah, your perception is very skewed.
Okay,
of
I was
what
with
good masculinity looks like.
I was with Donald Cerrone of the formerly of the UFC or presently of the UFC. I can't remember, but either way, we're sitting there and we were
fucking
talking
up
about Andrew
Zach.
Tate when I was on some Brendan
even
Schaub
know why
program
game's not
that
loading,
went on,
bro.
and he pulled up one of Andrew Tate's kickboxing matches and was basically just like,
Need to run some
"Look at this
Fortnite, Zach."
technique. Tell me this guy is a top level fighter." And it looked really bad, like with his narration, which obviously I'm not a fucking expert, but that kind of colored my impression of him. And then I also read like a fucking article where a journalist went to his house and he described it as kind of a shithole in a bad part of town, and that also kind of made me like, well, if you're so rich off this Hustles University thing, why aren't you living in like a baller ass pad? I don't know.
Have you ever had Tate on the show?
No.
Because you've had Tate on back in the day.
Yeah, I kind of think I
You
started
kinda
him
started-
twice.
you were the
I
one.
think the entire blueprint for. Did you know I wrote Men Are Better Than Women, the book, and was on Dr. Phil?
I saw the Dr. Phil thing, and honestly, I wasn't sure if it was the same person because time hasn't really been that kind to you. But
Jesus Christ.
The time's been great. The liquor has been bad.
just kidding.
It's the liquor
No,
and the
but
drugs that are hard.
I was looking at like it kind of looks like him, but I can't really. I was thinking like maybe you borrowed the name from him. What the fuck is the story on that? Can we kill a few minutes on that
So
story?
Dr. Phil?
Yeah, I started writing this site, menarbetterthanwomen.com, as a joke. I mean, well, not completely, whatever.
What year? Because I guess I do kind of like vaguely remember.
2005,
No,
back
okay.
when there was no Facebook. There was nothing. You had to go out of your way to find content on the internet.
You
People
went to
actually
people's
went to
websites. That was
websites.
like Maddox.xmission.com. I remember
Oh,
typing
that
in
guy.
the old
Yeah.
website and shit.
Well,
yeah.
I spent a little time watching Justin Wang videos about his fallout with Maddox too, which I'm not really sure how that is going to
Fuck.
actually matter
Alright.
throughout this conversation. But
That would
Wow,
take
let's see.
hours.
That was Web 1. So I started writing these just preposterous articles trying to push the line of what people would believe and throwing in throwing in some real shit, throwing in some like overt misogynism, and then just like insanity. So to try to just make like the perfect trolling articles every time, and some of
Kind of
those,
sounds like it.
yeah, some of those would get hundreds of thousands of comments. Then I went on Dr. Phil because they had a house full of insane people who were all bigoted and hateful, and they gave us a bunch of liquor and tried to make us fight. But I think I was the only one joking.
But did you ever let that on to the producers at all, or were you fully just in character the whole time?
Fully in character because it wouldn't be funny, and I fucking hated Dr. Phil. Dude, like the whole pop psychology shit that is now, it's pop psychology is so pervasive that like you can talk to people and have entire conversations that they've just regurgitated out of a self-help manual.
Right.
I hated it then. I hate it now. I wasn't pointing at you to
No, that's
say that. I was just
I can be
looking at you.
My blue hair will be the conduit for your hate right now. It's okay. Channel it. Focus. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went on there and, you know, called women
around,
fat.
yeah, called women
and
whores.
everyone melted down.
What were you doing for a living at that time?
I was doing computer stuff,
Okay.
marketing.
So there wasn't like a concern in your mind, like maybe this could come back to get me, and people wouldn't understand that I was trolling, and it's gonna make me. People are gonna think that I really.
I was
am
25,
this
People
so
didn't
I
really
wasn't
get-
really thinking about things like
Yeah.
that. I was thinking everyone's going to think this is hilarious. What am I
And I
not
think-
realizing that Dr. Phil has 60 million fans? Like they didn't think it was funny. They didn't get the satire of it. How
Right.
fucking sophisticated I was.
Nobody really got
Would
canceled
you
back in
rather go
2005.
on
I was gonna
Super
say,
It was
Bowl
like,
very
oh,
difficult to
yeah.
get canceled back then.
The worst
No.
thing back
Don't
then
even
was if you ever
know.
like took like in 2007, 2008, especially with iPhone shit. If you took a nude picture of yourself,
What
that was
that
like
is,
the
bro.
craziest thing.
Oh yeah.
Taking nudes. Oh my god, it was like unfathomable.
One of the best days in high school was when this girl Crystal fucking there was a picture of her that had been floating around email wise in my high school of her shoving a 7-Up bottle up her vagina, and somebody printed out a few of them and taped them to like the soda machine in school. And so that was the talk of the town for the rest of the week in my
7-Up.
high school, is this girl with a 7-Up bottle up her coochie. It was fucking crazy, dude.
What size bottle?
It was pretty fucking huge.
Wait, was
honestly.
it like? Are we talking like the cap part,
20,
or like the
20
whole
ounce?
like?
Or like
It's
a
not like she
2
got the
liter?
whole thing, but it was like a big one that she didn't.
2
I
liter.
think get to like the straight part of the
Oh,
bottle.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it was the
The
part that
triangle.
counted. Yeah,
But
and,
she was in high school too.
and also it's like nobody had a digital camera at
Yeah.
this time, so
Taking pictures and talking on the internet was hard.
yeah, and so like to get like a single photo of this and then to have it like scanned and like printed out, it seemed like a crazy effort.
Printing out full color shit back then too was like.
Yeah.
The printer take
And
like
if the librarian
7
caught
minutes.
you, you got in big trouble.
No.
She's like, "Why are you printing all this out?" I'm like, "I don't
How
know."
would you print that in the fucking library, Vito?
Not just vaginas. Although I do remember in middle school, I was printing out like Japanese porno comics when nobody was paying attention and binding them together and
Jesus.
making a little collection.
Binding them. You can't beat off until you bind
No,
them.
I would
together?
take construction paper and I'd make little, covers and
It's
had a little collection
Like
going.
a homemade hentai
Yeah, I remember
book.
for a while
The
there
Japanese
was a
did good
message
work.
board in high school, and we
Dude,
would
I'm
all
getting
like steal
fucking
people's IDs and then like upload them to
dumpstered
threads
and
on the
dumpstered.
message board, and the school shut that down pretty
Wait, when the
quick.
fuck did you go to high school?
I graduated in 2002.
I graduated in 2007. I feel like you had so much more internet in your school than I did. I feel like the internet didn't exist in Omaha yet. Where did you? You were in New
I
Hampshire?
had a live journal when I was 15, and that's when it really began. And actually, even before that, I was on like punk message boards.
I
and
missed
shit.
the live journal era.
You were on there?
That was real.
Yeah, it
There's
was
some
fun.
good live.
I need to get
journal.
one goal.
Back when we
bro.
changed the mouse to be like a fucking design, and you'd have like fucking.
Mhm.
music
That's
that
where
would load on web pages and
All
shit.
of my like high school drama played out on live journal for the most part. Good time.
That's great.
Wait, so when did you decide to just like fully inhabit the Dick Masterson name, and also like what were the consequences of the Dr. Phil thing?
God, I don't remember. It was pretty traumatizing coming out of that house. It was a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be, being a character for 7 days straight and like getting interviewed by crazy producers.
It was
who
just
trying
hard to
fuck
stay in
you up.
character.
Well, they're like they wake you up at 5. They make you fight people all day. Now, probably being on Twitter all the time, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But back then, this kind of atmosphere
You were
was
still
not-
more of like an actual human being at the time.
yeah.
We all
So
were.
Back
coming
when
out of it-
niceties and politeness existed. Yeah.
I got a little. I was like, well, I mean, that's kind of the peak of that bit, so that's enough.
You
I
really
think-
kind of left it behind. I feel like these days you
Hoes.
gotta just like lean into it.
Oh,
Well, we didn't have.
Free
God,
of course.
that was like 2008. So my
Okay.
book came out the day it came out, and then 4chan got hold of it and put it to like 200th in the world or something like that on
I
Amazon.
won. Okay,
That's
I
why I
just
learned about
won the
4chan.
game.
So I don't know. After that, back in 2008, I just let it die until I did the podcast with Maddox again.
And
Justin
that went
Wang coming.
swimmingly.
Yeah.
How many? Wait,
Then I had to embrace it or die.
wait, but how many years did you do that before you guys fell out?
2.
And then the Dick Show has been going for how many years?
Probably 7 or 8.
How's that
After
going?
that. It's going good. It's going well. Made a lot of friends. Heard a lot of stories about people getting canceled.
Why are you debanked?
So I made a Patreon alternative.
Right.
Remember when Sargon got
Yeah.
he got kicked off because he said slur ironically?
Some
something
racist
like-
joke on another platform. which
Yeah.
I remember being particularly pissed off about that at the time because it wasn't even something he did on Patreon.
Yeah, me too. So I said, well, how hard could this be to just make a web host and take credit cards? Like, this is not complicated. These guys have way too much power. No one should be involved in the relationship between a fan supporter and whoever they're supporting, no matter what they say.
Right.
Like, freedom of speech is important. Freedom of economy is even more important than that. That's like you.
Fuck.
That's who you are. So I made this
Yes.
Patreon alternative in like a month, got people on it, and it was just a lot harder than I thought it would be. Every bank, every major bank in America canceled all of my business accounts one by one, no matter what they would say or look at.
Damn, bro, I got fucked.
They've got it's a black hole than YouTube getting through to them.
But was it
I
like
don't even know who this guy is.
like anyone in
That's crazy.
particular?
Damn it.
Particular that you were working with that that was using your service that was like particularly like an enemy of the banks?
I don't know. I think eventually somebody who hated Kiwi Farms pretended to be a lawyer and contacted a senior vice president at MasterCard and said there's all this crime and stuff happening. And MasterCard contacted this tiny bank that was hosting me.
Because Kiwi Farms was one of the people who were funded
Yeah,
through you.
yeah, they were using it. And then the little bank put me on the match list, which is like you can never do credit cards again for the rest of your life, basically.
So what is your credit score like? Can you even have credit?
Yeah, I just can't process cards, so I can't start a business
Right.
and process credit cards.
So even if you started a business, you just being one of the owners of the LLC, you wouldn't be able to process credit cards through it?
I don't know. It all goes back to how many people are you going to report are going to report you.
Right.
Like that's what everything relies on.
Are you
So,
that much of an enemy to these people?
I hope so.
Good answer.
I don't think so though.
Right.
But I've never thought that. Like the way that things have devolved has shocked me over the last 20 years. It's going from like just comedy to just doing comedy to like
Why would
becoming
that guy
a
get in the
major
way?
force in stopping this insane tyrannical mob from dominating everything that we see in life on entertainment and television. Television has become so important, the internet has become so important that the quest to control that as a choke point has become an existential crisis to people like
Oh,
us.
boy.
So we used to say like Twitter's like people say I used to say this like Twitter's not real life, and it's not. That's true. Now it's more important than real life. Having
Yeah.
control of like Twitter and Facebook like that, it dictates entire news cycles. It arguably instigates real life stuff. Like DLM probably doesn't happen without
Yeah,
videos on
it's
like
it's worth
TikTok and
$44 billion.
YouTube.
Like it
Yeah.
is the most.
Not more than that, right? Really, truly,
Right,
right?
but,
yeah,
you know,
I know
it's
what
like,
Elon, but
yeah.
it's like so the control on the internet stuff is insane. And I made this joke I think like 3 or 4 years ago. I keep making it. But I feel like it's gonna happen pretty soon, where we're gonna cancel people so
Oh,
hard. We're
fuck.
gonna be calling like leasing agencies to find out like who's renting apartments to who. And it's like, didn't you know Dick made that comment about Nazis? Are you really gonna rent? Are you gonna service his mortgage?
Yeah.
Are you really gonna rent an apartment to him?
I would
Like,
almost assume that they are doing that because didn't Richard Spencer's mother get like run out of town wherever she was living at?
Maybe, or
Lawrence
Lawrence
Southern's
Southern's parents got
parents.
kicked off Airbnb. Like 70, 60-year-old people. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
But okay, what's the line in the sand, or what's the X factor that separates something that we could kind of agree on, which is that
It's-
Twitter and publishers should probably have the freedom to allow whoever they want on their platform, versus what's happening to him with the banks, which is like, it seems like an extension of the same argument,
I think
right?
there's an easy thing that we should all agree on, and you should. And if you don't agree on this, fuck you. Okay? If you fuck around on a platform, then you can get banned on the platform, and that's it.
Right.
This cross-platform shit is fucking crazy to me. That like if I do something really bad on Facebook, I'm gonna get banned on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and whatever the fuck else somebody goes
Yeah.
after. Like if you fuck around on Facebook and you do some shit, you get banned on Facebook. If you fuck around in a bank, you get banned in a bank. But when it's like the whole world is coming down on you for a mistake that you make somewhere,
Did I
I
keep
think
hitting
that's bullshit.
spacebar
That's
to
crazy to me.
fucking jump? and
I
it's
think
not
we
the
have
jump.
to get the courts back to being involved. Like if something happens to you at McDonald's, they dump hot coffee on you and like cause you insane damage. You take them to court, no matter what happens. Like somebody doesn't shoe your horse right, you take them to court, and you go through a discovery process and you find out who is wrong there, who's owed, who was harmed. Like the American court system was made to figure out who was harmed and how to compensate for them for that. And because of the laws we passed on the internet, CDA 230, there's no court involved anymore. It's just a mob. It's convincing an invisible person if somebody else should be hurt before you even assess the damages. So whatever we do to get people back in court to assess this stuff, I think is important.
I don't think the answer is the court, though. And this sucks, but I think the answer is the culture. It has to be because the courts will follow the culture. If the culture dictates that we need to be killing people on the internet, metaphorically, destroying somebody's name or brand, then I think the laws will get passed to do it, which is the scary part. That we have to get people to understand that people can make mistakes and grow and learn, and that there's not always a binary. I don't know if you've realized this. Nobody is a little bit wrong or a little bit right. They're either like so fucking wrong that they need to be, eradicated from existence, or they're 100% correct on everything. Like it's insane. Like somebody can't make a statement that's like a little bit wrong with people. Like, oh, this guy's a racist, a transphobe. This guy is a fascist. This guy's whatever. It's like there's no middle ground, and it's fucking crazy.
Bam.
When you I'm assuming all the banks at some point, like the Daily Stormer, probably had checking accounts with some bank at some point, and they assume pulled out, stopped working with them. But the problem is that what he was trying to create was a lot more innocuous, right? But it's being conflated with stuff that's specifically hateful. Or would you say that there should be banks, or should banks be,
Banks should
formally-
absolutely be blind. It's a payment processor. You're processing people's.
So if you're a bank and you know that you have neo-Nazis running businesses doing neo-Nazi
Here.
things,
If you're a bank and the guy is using you to sell fucking child porn, you should fucking process the payments.
but that's illegal.
Doesn't matter. It's not
for
your
the
job
court.
to. It's not your job to enforce it, though, right? Like, you're coming from porn. how do you feel about the fact that like so much porn regulation was essentially built off the backs of like fucking Visa and payment processors, like enforcing rules and shit?
I do think that's crazy because on OnlyFans, you're not allowed to do shit stuff. You're not allowed to fuck. I think a woman's not allowed to penetrate herself with something that's not a sex toy. So, like, if you're fucking a cucumber, I think that could be a problem. Some of it I totally agree with too. Like the outdoor stuff is not allowed on there, which like in public, which I think is a really good
It's not-
precedent to
Are
set.
you allowed to choke women on OnlyFans?
I'm not 100% sure, but also the reality
that's a
is
problem,
that
if not.
more often than not, you are allowed to do all of these things. You just can't label or tag the post as that.
Yeah.
And if a bunch of people decide to report you,
You get
you
fucked.
could probably get fucked because
Yeah.
I think a ton of girls are skirting the rules because there's just not enough analysis by the company.
The problem isn't the rules. Like the rules can be that. Like everything you said is fine. If OnlyFans wants to set those rules, that's okay. It's just scary when it's coming from payment processors. I
Yeah.
don't think they should have any role in dictating that. You just process a payment. Same thing with ISPs, right? Like if you say something really bad on Twitter, should AT&T be able to cancel your internet account? Like, that's crazy to me. But I think that if you were to poll the American people today, I bet like 35 to 40% would agree that an ISP should be able to cancel your internet account.
You think it
Because
would be that high?
I think it would.
Yeah,
Be. I think it
if you
would be.
change it to COVID, it would be even higher. Like the people were so pissed about medical misinformation.
Well, it's because you're talking about changing the culture, but it seems like, you know, a
I'm
large
gonna try
part of the
something
culture
else.
agrees that they don't like the cancellation. They don't like what's going on.